welcome back to the channel. So here I am sitting in this t-shirt, just bringing you another video filled with wisdom of the ages. And if you like the content I'm creating, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And today I'm going to talk to you about how Rich Dad Poor Dad can get you out of all your debt. So let me explain that. A little while back I was showing you there's this book that was written a very long time ago, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now it's quite famous because in it the author details the lessons he received from his rich dad who didn't even finish high school and his poor dad who had many degrees, and the very different types of thinking they had about money in general and life. So I actually applied this concept for myself and it's worked wonders. And I've known other people who have done it as well and they see success because the concept is extremely simple. It's actually outlined in the second book, the cash flow quadrant. In the book, it talks about you need to get out of debt in order to have enough money left over to pick up assets, which, as the book explains, an asset is something that can generate you income. Something you own that you don't have to manage yourself. You can have someone else manage it for you and it'll generate you income. But the method is to you can target your lowest debt first, to get that initial success, and that'll keep you motivated. And you do not pay minimums on these things. You pay as much as you possibly can until that debt is removed. Now in the book, of course, this book is written many years ago. So it talked about $120 or $110. Now at the time, that $110 at the time writing this book is probably more like $400 in value. But, so I did the same thing. It's like target the lowest debt you have and just start throwing money at it. Throw your excess money at it. The stuff you don't need, and then it won't take long for that debt to vanish. And as soon as that happens, you roll over that amount plus the minimum on the next debt, and then that debt will vanish, and you keep going like this snowball effect that builds into an avalanche. And lastly, you target your largest debt because that'll take the longest to get rid of. And also, you can do this differently. Like you can target your highest interest debt, the one with the highest interest amount, and start knocking that out. Of course, if that debt is really large, it might actually be more beneficial to target the smaller ones, so that way you get that initial success and motivates you to keep going. Now, it also talks about, what if you don't have that couple $100 extra a month? Well, it outlines that if you do not have a couple $100 extra a month, you need to go back and relook at what you're spending money on in general, because you need to be living below your means in order to really do anything. So I took that to heart. I live way below my means, so that way I was able to knock out many thousands of dollars of debt just last year, and this year I'm pretty much on the way to be debt free completely. And it's a great feeling, because your excess money, like, what do you do with all that excess money once you have it? After you knocked out the debts, you can suddenly go on the trips you want to take, buy the things you want to buy, and you don't owe to anybody. So it's a really great feeling, and it's all outlined in the second book of Rich Dad Poor Dad. And you know what? Books are amazing, because most people don't read, and that's the truth. The statistic I heard is 1 in 10 people buy a book. Only 1 in 10 people of those will buy a nonfiction book. And nonfiction books is where it's all at, really. It's the stuff that's there to teach you something. So you're literally talking about 10% of the population buys a book. Only 1% of the population buys a nonfiction book. And only a fraction of those guys will ever apply a damn thing in those pages. So if you're one of the people who are willing to apply the knowledge you get, you are so far above everyone else as far as, your ability. It's not even a competition. You're just going to blow them completely out of the water. because the knowledge in these books, like for instance, I think this one right here, Rich Dad Poor Dad, it was like maybe $8 tops, and like scroll to some stuff in here, and I read this one a long time ago. So look, I flipped to a page in here. If you can see that, it's highlighted, underlined, starred, maybe little notes on the side. You treat books, you treat a nonfiction book, or you need to treat a nonfiction book like a textbook, like a manual, because that's what it is. You know, when you're out there reading Harry Potter for fun, that's fine. You know, have fun. But when it comes to nonfiction books, these are manuals. These are how-tos. How do you do something that you're interested in? How do you have a better life? How do you have, more money? How do you have, building whatever it is the book is about? It could be just literally anything, from psychology to war to, which is partially psychology too, to finances to, anything really. Sorry, I'm a little stuffed up today. I'll have to take care of that. But remember, according to Rich Dad Poor Dad, you get out of debt by paying as much as you can on the debt. Start with the smallest ones if you need those initial successes, then target your larger ones, the ones at higher interest rates, and then just keep rolling it over and over and over till you're completely, utterly debt free. And then you can move on to what it calls assets, which is buying items, properties, real estate, whatever, businesses that will generate you money per month. So that way, eventually, you don't even have to have a job. So, go and like, comment, and subscribe, because we all know this stuff is great. And if you apply this, you are going to find success in the area you apply to. Don't just read a book. Don't just read a nonfiction book. Apply something from that, because it's in the application, the action of the knowledge is where you're going to find the big results. But if that's okay, if you just want to learn now and apply later, you could do that too. I did that for a while, but at some point you're just going to have to apply it, because that's the only way you're going to get any results with it. Alright, until next time, I'll talk to you later.